The golden retriever wasn't growling. She wasn't barking. She was staring, straight ahead, unblinking, while 11 puppies formed a perfect line at her feet like some kind of living barricade. But here's what I couldn't understand. I wasn't the threat. The threat had already happened. It was 10:23 on a Tuesday morning. Carla, the shelter supervisor, handed me a single sheet of paper and said 7 words that made time stop. They're all scheduled for Thursday morning. Thursday. 48 hours, 12 lives in a concrete kennel behind a door marked intake, hold. All of them out of time. I'm 50 years old. I've written checks to shelters for years. I know what protective looks like. I know what aggressive looks like. But this was something else. I took one step closer to the kennel. The mother dog's eyes tracked me, but her body didn't move. Not an inch. The puppies, tiny, mismatched, some golden, some dark, barely stirred. And then I saw it. The smallest one, tucked at the very back of the line, wasn't moving at all. That's when the mother dog did something that made my breath catch. Something that made me realize this wasn't just about saving them before Thursday. This was about saving them from something that had already destroyed her. She closed her eyes, just for a second, like she'd already given up. Let me back up for a moment. Tell you how I ended up standing in that kennel at 10:23 in the morning with my hands shaking and a choice I never thought I'd have to make. My phone rang at 8:47 a.m. I almost didn't answer. I was standing in my kitchen in the Hollywood Hills, still in my robe, looking out at a view of Los Angeles that cost me half my divorce settlement. The number that flashed across the screen was one I'd called 100 times but never expected to call me. Los Angeles County Animal Shelter. I knew what they wanted before I even swiped to answer. Meredith? It was Carla. We'd worked together for years, me writing checks, her cashing them, keeping a professional distance, keeping it transactional. I know you don't do this. I know you donate, you don't adopt, but I need you to listen for 1 minute. I should have said no right there. Should have explained that I have a life that works precisely because nothing in it needs me. No children, no pets, no complications. But I didn't hang up. Carla's voice dropped. We've got a golden mix. Came in 3 days ago with 11 puppies. Found wandering near the 101. No chip, no owner, no history. She won't let anyone near those babies. Not to feed them, not to check them, nothing. And Meredith, we're over capacity. We've got an intake from a hoarding case coming in tomorrow. 20 more dogs. I stared at my coffee, watched the steam curl into nothing. So find a rescue. You have contacts. We tried. Everyone's full. And this mom, her and all 11 puppies, they're scheduled for euthanasia Thursday morning, 48 hours. My hand tightened around the phone. 48 hours. I wouldn't call if there was anyone else. Carla said quietly, but you've seen things other people haven't. You understand what money can't fix. Please, just come look. I make $180,000 a year from investments and rental properties. I live alone in 3,200 square feet of glass and steel. I travel 6 months out of the year because I can, because nothing ties me down. And 3 years ago, I sat in my lawyer's office and signed papers that ended my marriage, and I made myself a promise. No more emotional entanglements. No more loving things that leave. But something in Carla's voice made me grab my keys. The drive to the shelter took 22 minutes. 22 minutes of me telling myself I was just going to look. That looking didn't mean committing. That I could write them a check and walk away like I always did. Carla met me in the parking lot. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Probably hadn't. She didn't say anything, just motioned for me to follow. We walked past the main kennels, all full, dogs barking, the sound echoing off cinder block walls, and through a heavy steel door marked Intake, Hold. The back section, the quiet section, the section where they keep the dogs who are out of time, and that's when I saw her. Kennel 12, no name on the tag, just an intake number and a red sticker. She was pressed into the back corner, this beautiful golden retriever mix with soft fur and eyes that should have been warm but looked like glass. Her whole body was rigid. 11 puppies were scattered in front of her on a gray blanket, some golden, some darker, the smallest one barely moving at all. Carla handed me the clipboard. 40 hours and 16 minutes, that's what they have left. I looked at the mother dog. She was staring right at me, and I saw something in those eyes that made my chest tighten. She wasn't just scared. She was expecting me to walk away, just like everyone else had. Before we get deep into the story, please let me know in the comments where you are watching from. Hit the subscribe button and ready to enjoy this story. Because tomorrow I have another beautiful story to share with you, and I don't want you to miss it for anything. I stood there holding that clipboard, staring at the mother dog through chain link, and all I could think about was how close I'd come to ignoring that phone call. 8:47 that morning. My phone buzzing on the marble counter while I measured out French roast into my expensive coffee maker. I saw Carla's name and my whole body went cold, because answering meant risking the one thing I'd spent 3 years perfecting. Distance. The house in the Hollywood Hills cost me $2.3 million. Glass walls on 3 sides, view of the city stretched out below like a promise. The kind of place you see in magazines, the kind of place that says you've made it. I bought it 6 months after the divorce was finalized. David got the Pasadena house, the one with the garden we'd planned together, the one with the nursery we'd painted twice. First yellow, then gray, after the second miscarriage. He got that house and I got a check for half its value and my lawyer's advice to start over somewhere nobody knew me. So I bought glass and steel and silence. I told myself it was freedom. No garden to maintain, no rooms that echoed with what never happened. No neighbor asking when I'd have kids, no family photos on the mantle, no dog tracking mud across hardwood floors. Just me, just space, just control. I filled my calendar with trips to places I'd always wanted to see. Portugal, Iceland, New Zealand. I posted photos on social media, sunsets, wine, landscapes, and people commented how lucky I was, how jealous they were, and they were right to be jealous. I was 50 years old, financially secure, and completely untethered. I could do anything, go anywhere. I just couldn't tell you why I wanted to. The shelter donations started about a year after I moved in. I'd see a fundraiser post online, some dog with hours left, some urgent medical bill, and I'd write a check, wire the money, sometimes $500, sometimes $2,000, whatever they needed. It felt good, like I was helping without actually having to feel anything. Carla once asked me, about 8 months ago, why I never came in to meet the dogs, why I only donated remotely. I told her I traveled too much, that it wouldn't be fair to an animal. She smiled like she didn't believe me, but was too polite to say so. The truth? I didn't trust myself. I knew exactly what would happen if I walked into that shelter. I'd see some scared, shaking dog and I'd want to fix it. Want to save it, want to love it. And then one day I'd be sitting in a vet's office holding something I loved while they stopped its heart. I'd done that already, with my marriage, with the children I'd never have, with every plan I'd made that didn't survive contact with reality. I wasn't doing it again. So when Carla called that Tuesday morning, I almost let it ring. Almost went back to my coffee and my empty calendar and my pristine glass house where nothing ever got broken because nothing ever got touched. But I answered. And 22 minutes later, I was standing in the shelter parking lot telling myself I was just going to look. Carla met me at the intake desk. She looked worse up close, exhaustion written across her face in dark circles and worry lines. Behind her, a younger woman with purple streaks in her hair and a volunteer badge was sorting paperwork. "Meredith, this is Cassandra," Carla said. "She handles a lot of our rescue coordination." Cassandra looked up, nodded. "I've seen your name on a lot of invoices, thank you." I felt a strange flush of shame, like being thanked for doing the absolute minimum. "I can't stay long," I said, too quickly. "I just came to see the situation. Maybe write a check if it helps." "It helps," Carla said quietly, "but money won't solve this one." She led me through that steel door, through the noise and chaos of the main kennels, into the quiet section. And there she was again. Kennel 12, the golden mix with eyes like glass. The 11 puppies lined up like she'd placed them there on purpose, the smallest one still barely moving. I stepped closer. The mother dog's eyes tracked me, but her body stayed frozen. "She's been like this since intake," Cassandra said from behind me. "Won't eat unless we leave the food and walk away. Won't let anyone touch the puppies." "What happens if we can't find placement?" I asked. Silence. I already knew the answer. Carla touched my shoulder. "Just think about it. That's all I'm asking." I stared at the mother dog, at the puppies, at the red sticker on the kennel card, and I felt something crack open inside my chest. Something I'd kept sealed for 3 years. "I'm just looking," I said. Carla nodded. We both knew I was lying. "Can I get closer?" I asked. Carla hesitated. She snaps, not biting, just warning, but it's enough. I knelt down anyway, slowly, keeping my hands visible. The concrete was cold through my jeans. The mother dog's eyes locked onto mine. Up close, I could see what the distance had hidden. She was trembling, not shivering, trembling, the kind that comes from somewhere deep in the nervous system. Her muscles twitched beneath her fur. Her pupils were blown wide despite the overhead lights. And her body, she wasn't sitting over the puppies, she was covering them, every inch of her position like a shield. Legs tucked, shoulders hunched, head low but eyes up. "Carla," I said quietly, "this isn't aggression." "I know it looks... No, look at her pupils, look at her posture." I kept my voice soft, steady. She's not defending them. She's bracing for someone to take them. Cassandra crouched beside me, studying the dog with fresh eyes. "She came in 3 days ago," Cassandra said. "Animal control found her wandering near the 101 freeway off-ramp, middle of the night. All 11 puppies somehow still with her. Any history? Nothing. No chip, no missing dog reports. But..." Cassandra pulled out her phone, swiped through photos. "Look at her intake pictures." She held the screen where I could see it. Rope burns, faint but visible around the dog's neck, rubbed raw beneath the fur. And on her ears, small crescent-shaped scars. Bite marks. Old ones. "Jesus," I whispered. "Minton, our vet, says the puppies are underweight," Cassandra continued. "She's been nursing them, but she's malnourished herself. He thinks she was dumped the day she gave birth. Maybe the day after." I stared at the mother dog, at the way she hadn't moved, hadn't relaxed, not for a second. "She's done this before," I said. Carla frowned. "What do you mean?" "She's lost puppies before. That's why she won't let anyone near them. She thinks we're going to take them away. because someone already did. The shelter went quiet around us, just the distant sound of barking from the main kennels. A staff member appeared in the doorway, young guy, maybe 25, holding a clipboard. "Carla, I need to check the puppies. Medical eval before Thursday." "Wait!" I started, but he was already unlocking the kennel door, moving with the casual confidence of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. He stepped inside, reached down toward the smallest puppy. The mother dog moved. Fast. Faster than I thought possible. She lunged forward, and the sound that came out of her wasn't a bark or a growl. It was a scream, high-pitched, desperate, broken, the sound of something that had already been destroyed trying to hold on to the last thing it had left. The staff member froze, the puppy tumbled backward, and every dog in the intake wing went silent. Complete silence. The mother dog stood over her puppies, body shaking so hard I could see it from 6 feet away. And she made that sound again, quieter this time, like a plea. The staff member backed out slowly, locked the kennel, looked at Carla with wide eyes. "I've never heard a dog make that sound," he whispered. I pressed my hand against the chain link, not trying to touch her, just trying to be steady, trying to be safe. "She's already lost them before," I said. Nobody argued. Carla put her hand on my shoulder. "Meredith, we have 36 hours. I didn't take my eyes off the mother dog. I know. We moved to Carla's office, a cramped space that smelled like coffee and stress, paperwork stacked on every surface. Minton was already there. The shelter vet, 50-something with kind eyes and permanent worry lines. He had a file open on the desk. "Best case scenario," he said without preamble. "We split the puppies among 4 or 5 fosters. Get them out of here, get them stabilized, get them adopted." "And the mother?" I asked. Minton and Carla exchanged a look. "Separate foster," Minton said carefully. "Someone experienced with behavioral cases. What happens to her if you separate them?" Another look. "Honestly?" Minton leaned back in his chair. "I think it would break her. Psychologically, she's holding on by a thread. If we take those puppies..." He shook his head. "I've seen it before. Dogs that just shut down completely." I did the math in my head. 12 dogs, 12 feeding schedules, vet bills, space, time. My house had 3 bedrooms, hardwood floors, white furniture. I traveled 6 months a year. I had no idea how to care for puppies. The math didn't work, no matter how I ran it. My phone buzzed, then buzzed again. I pulled it out. Text from my friend Lauren. "Are you seriously doing this?" I frowned. "What?" Carla's phone rang. She answered, listened, her face going pale. "How did they..." Okay, I'll handle it." She hung up and looked at me. "Someone posted about the case on social media. It's already getting shared." "What do you mean posted?" Cassandra appeared in the doorway, her phone in hand. "It's going viral. Someone leaked the story. Wealthy woman considers taking 12 shelter dogs. The comments are..." She trailed off. Didn't need to finish. My phone buzzed again. Another text. This one from my ex-husband's sister. "David said you're hoarding animals now? Meredith, get help." Then another friend. "This is a cry for help. You know that, right?" And another. "You can't save everything. You'll fail and those dogs will suffer." I stared at the screen, at the messages popping up one after another. People who'd never asked how I was doing, never checked on me in the 3 years since my divorce, now suddenly full of opinions. "They're right," I said quietly. Carla looked up sharply. "What?" I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never even owned a dog. I live alone in a glass house. I travel constantly. The math doesn't work. I stood up, started toward the door, then stopped, turned around. What happens if I take all of them? Silence. Complete silence. Minton blinked. Carla froze mid-reach for her coffee. All 12, Cassandra said. All 12. Meredith, Carla started. What's the paperwork? What do I need to sign? Carla stood slowly. It's a massive commitment. Medical expenses, liability, the time involved. I have money. I have time. What I don't have is a good reason to say no. The shelter can provide initial supplies, vaccines, but what do I sign? Carla pulled a file from her desk drawer. Foster agreement, liability waiver, medical care acknowledgement. She spread the papers in front of me. If you do this, she said quietly, you can't change your mind tomorrow. These dogs need stability. They need someone who's all in. I picked up the pen. My hand shook. I thought about my empty house, my empty calendar, my carefully constructed life where nothing ever hurt because nothing ever mattered. I signed. One form, then another, then another. When I looked up, Carla had tears in her eyes. And through the office window, I could see into the intake wing. The mother dog was sitting at the front of her kennel now, staring directly at me, watching me sign, like she knew, like she'd been waiting her whole life for someone to finally choose her. They gave me 2 hours to go home and prepare. 2 hours to turn my glass showpiece into something that could hold 12 lives. I moved furniture, rolled up the white living room rug, lined the guest bedroom with blankets and puppy pads I panic bought at 3 different stores, set up crates, water bowls, everything the shelter's supply list told me I'd need. None of it felt like enough. When I pulled back into the shelter parking lot at 4:37 p.m., there were people waiting. Not just staff, volunteers, people with phones out. Someone had tipped off a local rescue blogger. Carla met me at the door. You ready? No. Yes. The intake wing felt different now, quieter, purposeful. Cassandra and 2 volunteers had the puppies wrapped in soft blankets, cradled carefully. Each one examined, counted, accounted for. Minton stood nearby with medical records in his hand. 11 puppies, he said, all cleared for transport, underweight but stable. The mother dog sat at the back of her kennel, watching everything, every movement, every hand that touched her babies. We need to move her first, I said. Carla nodded. You want to leash her? No, let me try something. I opened the kennel door slowly, knelt just outside the entrance, kept my body low, non-threatening. Hi, I said softly. My name is Meredith. I know you don't know me. I know you don't trust me, but I need you to trust me for about 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes, and then you'll see your babies again. All of them. I promise. The mother dog stared at me, didn't move. I held out my hand, palm down, not reaching, just offering. I'm not going to hurt them, I whispered, and I'm not going to take them away. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then she stood, slowly, every muscle still trembling. She took 1 step forward, then another. She walked past my hand, past the kennel door, and stopped in the hallway, looking back toward the room where the puppies were. They're right here, Cassandra said, her voice breaking. Look, Mama, they're all here. She held up 1 puppy, then a volunteer held up another, and another. The mother dog counted them. I swear she counted them. Only when she'd seen all 11 did she turn toward the exit. I stood, took the leash Carla handed me, and we walked. Through the intake wing, through the main shelter, toward the front doors. Staff members stopped working. Volunteers lined the hallway. Someone was crying, then someone else. By the time we reached the parking lot, half the shelter staff had tears streaming down their faces. Cameras flashed. Phones were out. Someone was live streaming. I didn't care. I loaded the puppies into the back of my SUV, each one in a secure crate, each crate lined with blankets. The mother dog watched from beside me, vigilant, counting. When the last puppy was loaded, I opened the passenger door. "Come on," I said softly. She jumped in, sat perfectly still in the passenger seat, staring at the crates behind her. I closed the door, waved to Carla, got behind the wheel. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely get the key in the ignition. I pulled out of the parking lot, turned onto the main road. My phone was exploding with notifications. The live stream had been shared hundreds of times already. Comments pouring in, some supportive, some vicious. I silenced it. Gripped the steering wheel, and as the shelter disappeared in my rearview mirror, I whispered the only prayer I had left. "Please, don't let me fail you." The mother dog turned her head, and for the first time, she looked at me instead of the puppies, just for a second. Then back to her babies, but that second was enough. The first puppy started crying at 8:43 p.m., then another. Then all of them. 11 voices, high-pitched and desperate, echoing through my glass house like an alarm I couldn't shut off. I'd set up the guest bedroom as a puppy nursery, blankets spread across the floor, heating pad in the corner, water bowls every few feet. The mother dog, I'd started calling her Hope, though I hadn't said it out loud yet, lay in the center while her babies crawled over and around her, nursing, squeaking, searching. I sat against the wall with Minton's feeding instructions in my lap and no idea what I was doing. Hope wouldn't eat. I'd put down premium kibble, wet food, even plain chicken. She'd sniff it, look at me, then turn back to the puppies. "You have to eat," I told her. "You can't feed them if you don't eat." She ignored me. By 11 p.m., I'd fed 3 puppies with a bottle because they couldn't latch, changed blankets twice, cleaned up accidents, checked breathing patterns obsessively. My back ached. My hands smelled like formula. My carefully organized life had dissolved into chaos in less than 6 hours. By midnight, I'd started talking to myself. "You can do this. It's just one night. Just get through tonight." At 1:30 a.m., I finally sat down. Just for a minute. Just to close my eyes. At 2:14 a.m., I heard Hope make a sound I'd never heard before. A whine, sharp, urgent. I jerked awake. She was standing over the smallest puppy, the one I'd noticed at the shelter, the one that barely moved. It was lying on its side, completely still, not breathing. "No, no, no, no." I scrambled across the floor, scooped the puppy into my hands. It was limp, cold. My phone. Where was my phone? I found it. Called Minton. It rang 4 times. 5. "Hello?" His voice was thick with sleep. "The puppy's not breathing." "Which one?" "The smallest. The tan one. It's not..." "Okay, listen to me." Minton's voice sharpened. "Lay it on its back. Check the mouth for obstructions." My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the puppy. I tilted its head back. Nothing blocking the airway. "It's clear." 2 finger compressions, center of the chest, quick and shallow. 30 compressions, then 1 breath into the nose. "Can you do that?" I can't. "Meredith, you can. Start now." I pressed my fingers against the tiny chest, started counting. 1, 2, 3. Tears were streaming down my face, my voice breaking on the numbers. 10, 11, 12. Hope pressed against my side, her whole body against mine. solid. Warm, 28, 29, 30. I bent down, covered the puppy's nose with my mouth, gave one gentle breath. Nothing. Again, Minton said. I started compressions again, counting through sobs. Hope didn't move. Stayed pressed against me like she was holding me up. 15, 16, 17. Come on, I whispered. Please. 29, 30. Another breath. The puppy gasped. A tiny, horrible, beautiful sound. Then it cried. I collapsed backward. The puppy clutched to my chest, and I couldn't stop sobbing. Meredith? Minton's voice came through the phone. Talk to me. It's breathing. I choked out. It's crying. Keep it warm. Watch it closely. Call me if anything changes. The line went dead. I sat there on the floor, the puppy against my chest, Hope pressed against my side, and the rest of the puppies sleeping in a pile on the blankets. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Light started creeping through the windows, pale, gray, dawn. I hadn't slept at all. I looked down at Hope. Her eyes were on me, not watching the puppies, watching me. We're going to be okay, I whispered. I wasn't sure which one of us I was trying to convince. The days blurred together. Feed the puppies, clean the blankets, monitor breathing, sleep in 20-minute increments on the floor. Wake up, start again. I stopped answering my phone, stopped checking social media, stopped caring what anyone thought. Tuesday became Wednesday, became Thursday, became something without a name. Minton came by twice, checked the puppies, weighed them, left more supplies. They're gaining, he said on day 4, or maybe day 5. You're doing it. I nodded. Couldn't remember the last time I'd showered. Hope still wouldn't eat unless I left the room. Still positioned herself between the puppies and the door. But the trembling had lessened. The rigid posture had softened, slightly. The comments online hadn't softened at all. Cassandra texted me screenshots, even though I'd asked her not to. She's going to kill those dogs through incompetence. Rich people think money solves everything. Give them to a real rescue. I deleted the texts. Went back to the puppies. On day 6, I think it was day 6, I ran out of steam completely. I'd just finished the 3 a.m. feeding. All 11 puppies fed, changed, settled. Hope finally eating a little bit of chicken from a bowl in the corner. I sat down on the floor, just for a second, just to catch my breath. And I couldn't get back up. My body just stopped. My muscles stopped responding. I slumped sideways against the wall, and the exhaustion wasn't just physical. It was everything. Every year of holding myself together, every carefully constructed wall, every defense I'd built to keep myself safe. All of it collapsed at once. I started crying, not the quiet kind. The kind that comes from somewhere you didn't know existed, the kind that sounds like breaking. I heard Hope shift across the room, expected her to stay with the puppies like always, but she didn't. I felt her stand, heard her pause on the hardwood. She walked across the room, slowly, deliberately. She stopped in front of me, and then she did something she'd never done before. She left her puppies sleeping behind her, walked those final 2 steps, and laid her head in my lap. The weight of it, the warmth. I put my hand on her head and completely fell apart. "I'm sorry," I sobbed. "I'm so sorry for everything that happened to you. I'm sorry I can't fix it. I'm sorry I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry." She pressed her head harder against my leg, not pulling away, not leaving, choosing to stay. I cried until I couldn't breathe, until my throat was raw and my chest ached and there was nothing left. And she didn't move. She stayed. When I finally went quiet, she lifted her head just enough to look at me. Those eyes that had been glass at the shelter, they were different now. Still scared, still guarded, but something else too, something that looked almost like trust. "You saved me too," I whispered. "You know that?" She blinked slowly. Behind her, the puppies slept in a pile on the blankets, safe, warm, alive. I ran my hand along her neck, felt the faint ridge of scar tissue from the rope burns. "Hope," I said softly. "That's your name. Hope." She tilted her head slightly, like she was listening, like she understood. "Because that's what you gave me." She settled her head back in my lap. And for the first time in 6 days, in 3 years, in maybe my entire life, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Not in control, not safe, not protected, but chosen. We sat there on the floor as dawn broke through the windows, Hope in my lap, the puppies sleeping, and the life I'd built to avoid pain quietly giving way to something I didn't have a name for yet, something that felt like home. By week 3, the puppies had names: Scout, Pepper, Honey, Bear, Maple, Finn, Sage, River, Atlas, Luna, and the smallest one, the one who'd stopped breathing that first terrible night, I called him Brave. They doubled in size, tripled their energy. The guest bedroom had transformed from a quiet nursery into a wrestling arena. Puppies tumbling over each other, play fighting, discovering their voices. Hope watched from the corner, still vigilant, but something had shifted. She let them wander farther. Let them explore. Let them be puppies. The adoption applications started arriving in week 4. Cassandra helped me sort through them. Families, couples, people with yards and kids and other dogs. People who'd been waiting years for the right puppy. I read every application 3 times. "You don't have to let them go," Cassandra said one afternoon. "You could keep them all." I looked at the puppies, at Hope, at my house that had become chaos and noise and life. "No," I said quietly. "They deserve more than I can give them. They deserve families who've been waiting for them." The first goodbye was the hardest. A couple from Pasadena came for Scout, a family with 2 kids and a golden retriever who died the year before. The mom cried when she held him. I handed over his medical records, his favorite toy, instructions for his care. Hope sat beside me, watching, tense, but she didn't lunge, didn't scream. She watched Scout leave, then turned and counted the remaining 10. "You understand, don't you?" I whispered to her. "They're not being taken. They're being chosen." Over the next 2 weeks, they left one by one. Pepper to a retired teacher in Santa Monica, Honey to a young couple expecting their first child, Bear to a veteran with PTSD who needed a service dog prospect. Each time, Hope watched. Each time, she counted who remained. And each time, she stayed calm. Maple and Finn went together to a family with acres of land. Sage to a college student who'd lost her childhood dog. River to an elderly man who'd just lost his wife. Atlas, Luna, until only Brave was left, the smallest, the one who'd almost died. A pediatric nurse from Glendale came to meet him. She sat on my living room floor and let him climb into her lap. He fell asleep there. "He's been through something," she said softly. "I can tell." "He has," I said, "but he's a fighter." She smiled. "Perfect." When she left with Brave tucked against her chest, I closed the door and turned around. The house was quiet. Not the hollow quiet of before, not the empty quiet that felt like grief, just quiet. Hope sat in the middle of the living room, looking at me. "It's just us now," I said. She walked over, pressed her head against my leg. I knelt down, put my arms around her. I'm keeping you, I whispered. If that's okay, I'm keeping you forever. She leaned into me, and I realized something I should have understood weeks ago. She'd chosen me the moment she put her head in my lap. I was just now catching up. I looked around my house. The blankets still scattered across the floor, the puppy toys in the corner, the water bowls, the chaos, the life. I pulled out my phone, opened the adoption paperwork Carla had sent, found the section marked Foster to Adopt, and signed my name. Not Meredith Riley, donor. Not Meredith Riley, volunteer. Meredith Riley, dog mom. Hope rested her head on my knee. Outside, the Los Angeles sunset painted the glass walls gold, and for the first time in 3 years, the silence in my house felt like peace. 6 months later, I'm sitting on my couch in the Hollywood Hills with Hope's head on my knee. The glass walls still frame the view of Los Angeles. The house still sits in the quiet above the city, but everything else has changed. There are dog toys in the corner, a bed by the window where Hope sleeps in the afternoon sun, scratches on the hardwood I'll never fix, a leash hanging by the door, evidence of a life that's actually lived in. My phone buzzes. A text from the family who adopted Scout. It's a photo. Scout, massive now, all golden fur and floppy ears, lying on a couch with 2 kids draped across him. The caption reads, "Best decision we ever made. Thank you for saving him." I smile. Swipe to the next message, Pepper playing in a sprinkler, Honey sleeping with a newborn baby, Bear in a service vest, sitting perfectly beside his veteran at a grocery store, Maple and Finn digging holes in their yard, Sage on a college campus wearing a bandana, River curled up beside an elderly man reading a book, Atlas and Luna, grown now, barely recognizable, playing tug-of-war, and Brave, the smallest one, the one who stopped breathing. He's in his pediatric nurse's arms at a hospital, visiting children who need comfort. Every single one of them thriving. Every single one of them loved. I wipe my eyes. Hope lifts her head, looks at me with his brown eyes that aren't glass anymore. They're okay, I tell her. All of them. She settles back down, trusting. I think about the woman I was 6 months ago, the one who lived in silence and called it freedom, the one who donated money but never showed up. The one who built walls so high nothing could hurt her, and nothing could reach her either. I think about that Tuesday morning, 10:23 a.m., standing in front of the Kennel 12 with a clipboard in my hands and 48 hours on the clock. I almost walked away. I almost chose safety over everything else, but I didn't. And that choice, that terrifying, impossible, life-altering choice, saved me just as much as it saved them, maybe more. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Carla. Another mama just came in. 8 puppies, scared, out of time. I know you just went through this, but... I look at Hope. She's watching me like she knows. I think about how love always costs something, how it always requires risk, how it always hurts eventually. But what if that's the point? What if love is only real when you choose it knowing it might break you? What if the pain is the price we pay for meaning? I text Carla back, send me the details. Hope's tail thumps once against the couch. I run my hand along her back, feel the scars beneath her fur, the evidence of everything she survived. What do you think? I ask her. Ready to help me save someone else? She doesn't move, just looks at me with those eyes that have seen the worst of humanity and somehow still found a reason to trust again. Outside, the city lights start flickering on. Another night falling over Los Angeles. Another shelter filling up. Another mother somewhere, terrified and out of time. Another story about to begin. I pick up my phone. And I say yes, because here's what I've learned. Love will hurt you. Love will exhaust you. Love will break your heart and ruin your furniture and cost you sleep and money and the life you planned. But love will also save you, if you let it, if you choose it, even when, especially when, it's guaranteed to hurt. I look at Hope one more time. She's already asleep, her head heavy on my knee, her breathing slow and steady, safe, chosen, home. And for the first time in 50 years, so am I.